Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome, everyone, wherever you are, in whatever time zone. I am very happy that we're back. Welcome back. It's a new week. And thank you, Lewis, for continuing with us the 365 Days with Jesus, which is our updated title of our Bible reading plan. So we're continuing reading the Bible in a year challenge, and I'm very thrilled to say that I was updating myself this earlier this morning and throughout the day. So I'm very happy to be back with all of you. And we're going to continue the book of Leviticus. So it's already in the third book of the Bible, everyone. So get it. This is going to be exciting. And we're in the chapters 8, 9, 10, and 11. So those are the assigned Bible reading chapters. And let's continue. So in Leviticus chapter 8, it talks about the consecration of Aaron and his sons. So just to recap, Aaron was the designated, as well as his sons and his descendants are the designated holy priests that God had sanctified. And they're Levites. They're from the tribe of Levi, one of the sons of Israel, of Jacob. And there's certain like a ceremony, if we read chapter 8 of Leviticus, of what they do. So they're wearing certain garments, they're even eating certain meat, certain way they're cleaning the sanctuary or the tent. They call it the tent of meeting. You guys could look it up, how the sanctuary used to look, the tent of meeting. You could look that up. It's really beautiful. Moses anointed them with this special oil that God tells him to, and sprinkles them on their heads. There was a bull, part of the sacrifice that they do during the ceremony, as well as a ram. So the bull was for the sin offering, the ram is for the burnt offering. And there was a second ram, which is the ram of consecration. So when they finally get ordained or sanctified as holy priests. So it's Aaron and his sons, right? And then there's also some unleavened bread. There's a cake of oil bread and a wafer. And certain parts of the meat, like the thigh, the right thigh. And I know that Moses has to sprinkle some of the blood on Aaron and his garments, and his sons and his garments. And then it says, verse 31, Moses said to Aaron, to his sons, boil the meat at the door of the tent of meeting, and eat it there together with the bread that is in the basket of the consecration, or the ordination offering, just as I commanded. Aaron and his sons shall eat it. What remains of the meat and of the bread you shall burn in the fire. You shall not go outside the doorway of the tent of meeting for 7 days, until the days of your consecration or ordination are ended, for it will take 7 days to consecrate you, as has been done this day, so the Lord has commanded to do for your atonement. You shall remain day and night for 7 days at the doorway of the tent of meeting, doing what the Lord has required you to do, so that you will not die. For so I, Moses, have been commanded. So this is the instructions that God gave Moses, and Moses verbally dictated everything to Aaron and his sons. So Aaron and his sons did all the things which the Lord had commanded through Moses. We're going to also learn, when we read the book of 1 Samuel, how God adores and honors, respects and loves, and even rewards us with obedience when we obey. So keep that in mind when we hit 1 Samuel, but not yet. We're now going to continue with Leviticus chapter 9, where Aaron offers different sacrifices, the sin offering, and there's also a peace offering. So there's certain offerings we do back then, that the people of Israel did. So for people who sin intentionally, if they committed a sin intentionally, there was a certain sacrifice. If they sinned by accident, or without awareness, of maybe like a child, or even if you weren't aware of God's 10 commandments or something of God's law, and maybe you're like a foreigner who didn't know, you're learning, and you maybe sinned or committed one of those defilements of the law, there was a certain offering as well. And at the end, what Aaron does is he lifted his hand, so that's found in verse 22, toward the people and blessed them, and came down from the altar of burnt offering. After presenting the sin offering, the burnt offering, and the peace offering, there's another type of offering that the people of Israel were able to do, which were peace offerings. If you voluntarily wanted to give a peace offering to God, that was very nice. I appreciated seeing that. Moses and Aaron went into the tent of meeting, and when they came out, they blessed the people in the glory and the brilliance of the Lord. So this beautiful light called the Shekinah Cloud appeared to all the people as promised. So Shekinah in Hebrew is this brilliance, this light, this glory of God. That's awesome. But this is more interesting. Look, then fire came out from before the Lord and consumed the burnt offering, the portions of fat on the altar. And when all the people saw it, they shouted and fell face downward in awe and worship. And I felt like that as I was reading it. Every time, I'll be very honest, I wasn't feeling so great today. And as soon as I was catching up with the Bible sign reading chapters for the reading the Bible in the year, like the book of Leviticus, it really brightened up my mood, and I could only imagine that awe, that worship of the whole nation of Israel, seeing that glory of God, like it's like good chills. All right, so let's continue with Leviticus chapter 10. Remember I said how God honors, loves, respects obedience from us? Listen to this now. Leviticus chapter 10, the sin of Nadab and Abihu. So Nadab and Abihu, who are they? So there are two of the sons of Aaron. I think he had a few more. The sons of Aaron, this is found in verse 1, by the way, took their respective or ceremonial censers, like these little like candles, and they put fire in them and placed incense on it and offered strange, unauthorized, or unacceptable fire before the Lord. So I'm reading from the Amplified Version. And what it says in the Amplified Bible Commentary, it says, which he had not commanded them to do. And it says here, what made the fire strange cannot be determined. So we don't know. They may have taken the fire from an unauthorized source or used incense that did not meet the divine expectations. In any case, God's laws and requirements are not subject to modification by man. Told you. God is sovereign. He respects and honors those when we obey. And regardless, he's not this God where like, oh, you disobey, boom, no. He's not going to just destroy you. However, our actions destroy us, right? Our soul, our mind, our heart. So just to keep in mind, it's a moral. That's why I really appreciate that. Fire came out from the presence of the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. Then Moses said to Aaron, this is what the Lord said. This is verse 3. I will be treated as holy by those who approach me, and before all the people I will be honored. So Aaron therefore said nothing. Now he has a few sons, but then they also got Aaron's uncle, their uncle, and as well as to continue the holy priesthood. And now the younger sons of Aaron, Eleazar and Ithamar, they're also going to be anointed as the holy priests. So replacing the two older sons. But guess what happens? So in verse 8, it says of Leviticus chapter 10, then the Lord spoke to Aaron saying, do not drink wine or intoxicating drink, neither you nor your sons with you, when you come, into the tent of meeting, so that you will not die. It is a permanent statute throughout your generations, and to make a distinction, recognize the difference between the holy or what's sacred and the common or the profane, and between the ceremonially unclean and the clean. And you are to teach the Israelites all the statutes which the Lord has spoken to them through Moses. Now, the Amplified Bible Commentary says in verse 8 about don't drink wine, please don't drink alcohol, don't drink anything fermented. It says this prohibition may imply that intoxication precipitated, what does that mean? Caused, was the trigger, was the antecedent of the irreverent behavior that resulted in the death of Aaron's two older sons. Whoop. Okay, so why I wanted to say that is God doesn't have to explain to us, but he's so loving and merciful that he does. And we have to realize when God has a purpose for us or reasons of the things that he allows to permit, we're gonna find that out either on this earth. We'll realize that, or if not, in heaven when we are united with him. I'm sorry, I got so excited thinking about heaven. So we have to believe that God wants the best for us. He's not looking to do harm to us. He's looking for the good for us. And we have to remember this was a holy, a sacred, a covenant, a sanctified thing. And look what they were doing. Like, why were they even doing this in the first place? Like, that's the counselor in me is asking why. What was the intention behind that? I'm sure they knew the consequences as well. And it did say that before in the prior chapter. All right. And then at the end, Aaron had a little, you could say, verbal showdown with Moses, where he said, then Aaron said to Moses, this very day they have obediently presented their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord. His two younger sons, remember, Eleazar and Ithamar. But such terrible things as these have happened to me and to them. If I and my sons had eaten a sin offering today, would it have been acceptable and pleasing in the sight of the Lord? When Moses heard that, he was satisfied. Because Moses had called out Aaron by saying to his sons, why did you guys not eat the sin offering in the holy place? For it is most holy. And God, remember, he gave it to you guys. Like, that's your nourishment. To remove the guilt of the congregation, to make atonement for them before the Lord. Behold, its blood was not brought into the holy place. You surely should have eaten the goat in the sanctuary just as I commanded. But Aaron's saying, brother, it's been a heavy day. Like, their two older brothers died. They're just learning the ropes of this. Please, take it down a notch. And Moses like, you know what, you're right. Fine. brotherly sibling arguments, right? And last but not least, Leviticus chapter 11 is one of the chapters I've known since I was a young girl. Being raised in the Seventh-day Adventist church is about the laws about animals for food. It talks about the different animals what we cannot eat. So some foods we can eat are like camels, some like insects like chameleons, snakes. There's other animals we can eat like mice. Sorry everyone, I'm a vegetarian. so reading this chapter, I'm like, oh, I don't have to really worry about it. But even as a vegetarian, we gotta be cautious of what we consume, right? And the reason why God says these animals can be consumed is because they're unclean. And if you want to take it from the health and moral perspective, so for example, in the sea, it says we can only eat creatures that have fins and scales in the waters. You may eat. But whatever does not have fins and scales, you cannot eat because they're considered unclean to you. Or detestable, it says in another translation. So for example, we can eat salmon, we can eat, I believe, tilapia or red snapper. I'm trying to remember the fishes that I'm aware that we can eat as Seventh-day Adventists and just believers in God who want to keep his word and commandments. But we can't eat like the famous shrimp because it doesn't have scales or fins, right? Or both of them. And if we think about it, shrimps are what? They eat the dirt of the ocean. So God is also looking out for our health. Like, it's just something, I know that's a very controversial topic, but I just want to give you guys like a modern example so we can understand that. Okay, so that is Leviticus 8, 9, 10, 11. It's pretty dramatic. It's pretty interesting, and it's filled with such beautiful lessons and interesting facts and just beautiful laws that God gave us. We have to remember one thing. God's law is not to limit or restrict us, it's to protect us. And I hope you guys could learn that lesson, hopefully in the most painless possible way. But if not, I hope even this Bible assigned chapters for today has helped everyone understand just a little more of God's love and his mercy. And thank God that we don't have to do these animal sacrifices. Thank you, Jesus. All right, have a good night, have a good day, have a good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Please remember to follow our pages. We're on Facebook, Woodside SDA Youth, all together. You can follow us on Instagram, Woodside SDA Youth. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. We're now available there, Woodside SDA Youth. Spotify, Woodside SDA Youth. And on our YouTube, we do have it because our church's YouTube page in Spanish, Iglesia Hispana Adventista de Woodside. God bless everyone. I'll see you all next time.